Now let us go on to our study. Today we're going to look at SD 2.23, chapter 23, Devadutta Sutta. The title in full is actually page 194, 194. The full title is Majjhima Devadutta Sutta, because there is another Devadutta Sutta called the Yama Devadutta Sutta. In fact, King Yama also appears in this sutta, but this one is a longer sutta. It's recorded in the Majjhima Nikaya, middle length teachings. So we put the brackets Majjhima in front of it, so we know where it is located. Because sometimes you go for talks, you hear the speaker will say, "Oh, in this sutta, Devadutta Sutta, something happened," and then you come back, you say, "Oh, I heard this sutta, where is it located?" There was a time when people can't remember the sutta, so they say, "Oh, this sutta, that sutta." I say, "I never heard of that. This that sutta. What's the name?" So it's either remember the name or remember the number. The number is M130, okay? 130, M130. Now, this sutta has got it's a very interesting sutta. It's got some very important story telling us about the suffering states, the hells. And there are also some very frightening, you might even say X-rated description of hell, tortures. Now, I'm not going to go through those terrible parts with you here, not today, because there's another sutta. After Brother Loh has come back from his operation, okay, we will look at that. Okay, so that one is all those Hauptpavillaa stories you have been hearing about. So this is where it comes from. So I'm going to talk to you about that later on. So today we're going to look at the meaning of what's called mythology, the meaning of all these stories we read in the suttas. How real are they? What is the meaning of real? Why does the Buddha talk about all these suffering states and so on? Now, whenever the Buddha teaches something serious, you will often notice there is a bit of humor in it. So in this story, although we talk about King Yama, in Chinese it's called Yan Lo Wang, quite a frightening figure. I used to be terrified of this figure. It's seven moon festival, and the markets, they like to put a picture of him. But I said, I don't know whether it's a Buddhist one or the Taoist one. So it's very scary the way it looks. Actually, he's not that frightening. He is an ordinary being. But there's a problem here. This King Yama, we don't know whether he's a deva or what kind of being is he, because he's down in hell, So, but because of his nature, it's probably some kind of deva. Now, if he's some kind of deva, then it's a very unique deva, because he's a deva in hell. And another thing you must remember is he sits there like a judge, and he has to interview all these people. How many people die each time? Millions. So imagine, the story goes that one by one they will appear to him, and he will repeat the same thing to every one of them. He doesn't use a PA system. There's no record of the sutta that he addresses a big crowd and say, "Okay, I'm not very happy to see you here," and then whatever, He talks to them one by one, or maybe in a group if you use your imagination a bit. So we're going to look at this sutta and find out what role does Yama play, what's the meaning of all these stories, how do we practice the Dhamma after we have understood this story. Now, so let's begin with the sutta straight away. The translation is on page 197. Now I'm going to refer to the section numbers, those paragraph number 1, 2, 3, and so on. So you go to those sections as I announce them. The starting is the same as in most Majjhima Suttas. Section 1, thus have I heard. Right, so here is where Ananda is telling us he has heard the sutta from the Buddha. At one time, the Blessed One was staying in Anathapindika's park, or park monastery, in Jeta's Grove, near Savatthi. There, the Blessed One addressed the monks thus: Bhikshus, Bhante, they replied in essence to the Blessed One. So here you have the Buddha teaching something unprompted. In other words, he decided, well, he's going to teach something about King Yama. Then the Buddha begins. The Blessed One said this, section 2, Bhikshus, suppose there were 2 buildings with doors, and a man with good eyesight standing there between them were to see people going in and out and passing to and fro between them. So just imagine, there are 2 houses, and you are that person, and you are sitting in the middle between these 2 houses, and you see people coming, going, people going out of the house, people going to the house. What does that represent? The 2 houses is rebirth, from one body to another body. Okay, so you can see this rebirth going on. All right, it's explained in the next section. Now there are 2 sections. The first section are the good doers of good. And the second section are the bad doers. So the sutta flow, the narrative flow is very smooth. First, the Buddha talks about the good people, and then the bad people, and then the hells. Okay. Now look at section 2.2, doers of good. Even so, do I, bhikshus, with the divine eye, that is purified and surpassing the human eye, see beings passing away and reappearing, inferior and superior, fair and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate. Right? So here the Buddha is saying, one of his meditation knowledges is he's able to see past lives, many lives. He can go as far back as he wants. And he notices how good people enjoy good karma and so on. All right? So he can see all that. It's like playing some videotape, if you like. Okay? So he knows this from his own experience. I understand how these beings fare according to their karma. So he's talking from his personal experience. Indeed, these worthy beings who were accomplished in good conduct in body, speech, and mind. Okay? So body, speech, and mind are the 3 doors of karma. Whatever we do is either body, speech, or mind. Not revilers of holy saints. In other words, they don't scold the good monks, the true practitioners. So my understanding is okay to scold bad monks, all right, but not the good ones. Okay, of course, if you're not sure, it's best to keep quiet. And then if you notice they are not behaving properly, just go away. Don't go near them. All right. Here, those holding right views, reflecting their right views in their actions. So right view, that means they accept impermanence, they understand suffering, non-self, things like that. So, and their action also is follow this kind of understanding. It's not like they believe something and then they do something else. Then it's called discordant. No? So their belief, their understanding is reflected in their actions. With the bodies breaking up after death, they reappeared in a happy destination in heaven. So they're reborn in heavenly state, happy state, right? So good people are reborn in a good state. And then after that, everything's repeated. So they do all these, people all do all these good deeds, then they're reborn among human beings, okay? Now, human beings is a special state because human beings, as you know, you got this mixture of good and bad, right? So, of course, these people who do good, they are reborn in a good place, peaceful family, they can practice the Dharma. Here, you've got to be careful about stereotyping places. For example, we can say some places like in the Middle East is violent and bombing. You can say it's like hell there. But although we generalizing is always not accurate, you find in that kind of place there are still people who are at peace with themselves, people who are good. You do find them very hard, but you do find them. Okay. For example, you may think like, oh, there's no Buddhism in Kuwait. You think actually, I know of people in Kuwait actually meditating. They meditate in the hotels. So meditation is everywhere actually, surprisingly. Even in the Arabia, if you like. So basically here, good people are reborn in happy states, the heavens, and among happy humans. And those who do bad can be reborn among humans, but in the unhappy areas. Okay. Then, if you look carefully here, you see italicized words. The sutta mentions what are called the 5 kinds of destinations, the 5 kinds of realms. This was according to this simplest definition of the different realms. The most complicated one is the 31 planes of existence, right? Most detailed. But here, the simplest are 5. Number 1 are the heavenly worlds, number 2 human world, and then if you look further down, 2.5 below last line in that section, you have the departed beings. These are the hungry ghosts, or the Chinese call them hungry ghosts, but they just call pretas in the suttas. Pretas. The pretas are very interesting stories. Originally, the pretas are simply means ancestors, those who have passed away. So the Buddha adopted this term. It meant simply those who have passed away. But then over time, this idea of the pretas begin to change. They begin to become all these frightened looking beings, suffering, And then when you went to China, they became hungry ghosts. They're specifically called hungry ghosts, right? So you see this kind of development in all religions where ideas change. All right, then you have the animal world, right? Section 2.6 and 2.7. Everything's repeated here. This person does bad things, so is reborn in. Look at the last line there. It says, with the bodies breaking up after death, reappeared in a state of misery, a bad destination, a lower realm in hell. Right. So the last word is the key word, in a suffering state. Okay. So today we're going to look at the Buddhist idea of what is a suffering state. What does it mean? Okay. Now the next section, the subtitle is the 5 messengers. Now the most famous of the messengers is the 3 messengers. Old man, sick man, dead man, right? Now this one is the 5 of them. What are the 5? Let's find out, okay? And who is the one saying this? Of course, it's King Yama. King Yama will mention what are called the 5 messengers. Not just messengers, they're called divine messengers. Devadutta. Why are they called Devadutta? Because apparently here, I think in this case it could be Yama or it could be Mahabrahma, because Mahabrahma cares for the world. They sent out these devas amongst humans. So these devas appear in these different forms to warn us, to remind us of the result of doing bad actions. So this sutta will tell us what's the meaning of the Devadutta. Let's look at it, okay? Section 3. Now bhikshus, before that, remember earlier on, the paragraph talks about hell states. All these people who do bad things, they are reborn in hell, right? Now the Buddha is saying what happens to all these people. Look at section 3. Now bhikshus, the hell wardens seize such a being by both arms and present them to King Yama. Okay, you got to imagine, not just one person, millions of them, one by one, before King Yama. And King Yama says exactly the same thing as stated in the sutta. Well, I suppose you imagine a bit, he may, vary his words a bit, but basically the teaching is the same. Okay, so now the hell wardens are the first to speak, okay? The hell wardens, what are they are horrible looking hell guards. I think you have seen all this in the Chinese stories. Says sire, so he's addressing the King Yama. So he called the King Yama, Your Majesty, sire. This man has ill-treated his mother, ill-treated his father, ill-treated recluses, ill-treated Brahmins. He has no respect for the elders of his clan. Let the king order his punishment. Okay. Now, if you're a scholar, you look at this, you say, oh, this is just like the way it happens with the kings in the world. It's the same. In fact, you see the same thing in China. In some religion, they say, as in heaven, so on earth, right? But in Chinese religion, as on earth, so in heaven. Because if you look at the heavens of the Chinese mythology, it's very similar to, the human world. When you see the monkey stories, we all forget the monkey story, it's just a story, We turn it into a religion, we worship monkey even, So it's very interesting how all this happened. And then you see even Quan Ti or Quan Gong, he's a famous warrior, very good soldier. When he died, because of his honesty, we all worship him, and he became a god, And very soon, I think LKY also will become one of our gods because we all respect him so greatly. This is the kind of holy beings that the Chinese respect. The Chinese are very practical, whereas the Indians are very religious. Anyone who is kind, they would worship. I was told once that there is a small village in India where a soldier lived there and he decided to go native. That means he didn't go back to England. He was very kind to the natives, the Indians. So when he died, they built a shrine for him and they worship him. And what I'm going to tell you next, I don't know how to interpret this. It's one of the funniest stories. There was a video on Facebook of an Indian man worshipping President Trump. So I don't know what to say about this, but all that I can say is this to show you the length that an Indian may go to worship a figure of power. Okay, so religion sometimes can go that far. All right, I wouldn't encourage this, definitely. Okay, so anyway, what I'm saying here is you see this section here, the hell beings drag the bad guy before King Yama and say, well, this person he has done all these bad things, so you please pass your judgment on him. An intelligent young student may say, ask the Sunday school teacher, say, teacher, what about karma, right? Big problem, right? Number one, there's a hell beings karma, These hell beings are going to torture all these bad people. So how about the karma of the hell beings? And then, now King Yama is special. King Yama is safe. Actually, he doesn't punish anyone. We will find out in a moment his roles. Very interesting. He doesn't punish anyone, so there's no karmic problem here. The main karmic problem is with the hell beings. They are very fierce and they do all kinds of terrible things. I don't have to tell you all these things. In Singapore, you got a living museum, if you can say that. You go to Haw Villa, you can see all that. Very frightening. Now, there is an interesting solution here, by a commentator called Dhammapala. Dhammapala lives in South India. He's probably a Tamil, by the way. There was a time when the Tamils were very good Theravada Buddhists. He said, imagine these hell beings torturing and killing and doing hell wardens, killing all these hell beings and torturing them, and these hell beings, they don't die, they go on suffering. The hint means it's not a bodily suffering, it's mental suffering. Because it's body, a person will be dead already, right? So it's a mental suffering, okay? But still, it is these hell wardens who are killing. So what about the karma of the hell wardens? I mean, surely they will create bad karma, isn't it? So you know what? Dhammapala solved this problem. He said, maybe they are not really conscious beings. They are something called, he used the word yanta. So if you translate this word into modern English, you know what the word would be? Robots. He said they're probably robots. Oh, this is really a Star Trek space fiction story. It's amazing that a commentator living around 500 years after the Buddha's time can imagine these ideas. So it's probably a mechanical being, a robot, doing all this.
Maybe today it's called virtual reality.
Yes. I mean, virtual reality, all these things, robots. So that's one solution that this Dhammapala, the commentator, suggested. It doesn't matter to us. It's just interesting that all these monks can come up with these amazing, very rich ideas. So anyway, the point is these hell wardens cause suffering to the hell beings. But first, okay, let's go back to the story. So he drags this person in front of King Yama. Okay, now King Yama begins his role. Okay, look at section 4. Okay, this is the chapter called the First Divine Messenger. Section 4. Then bhikshus, King Yama presses and questions and cross-questions him. Notice him, one person only, about the first divine messenger. Notice here, King Yama questions the hell being. He doesn't do anything, doesn't punish him. He asks, "My good man, did you not see the first divine messenger appear amongst humans?" And then the hell being of the human replies, "I did not, Bhante." So you call Bhante means sir, like Tuan. Then bhikshus, King Yama says, now this is one of the problems in the suttas. You find there are layers of narrative, Then the Buddha said, King Yama said. So you got to know the level. You got to always be conscious of that. And then when you translate, you have to put all those, what they call that, quotation marks, quite tricky, Okay, so now, King Yama said, "My good man, have you never seen amongst humans a young, tender infant, lying prone, lying flat, foul in his own excrement and urine?" So have you ever seen a baby lying down in his own filth? Then the hell being says, "Oh yes, I have, Bhante." Right? And then King Yama continues and say, "My good man, did it never occur to you, an intelligent and mature man?" Okay, now we have a clue. King Yama only interviews the intelligent, clever man. Okay, the stupid ones, too bad. They go straight to suffering state. So now notice what is King Yama doing here? He asked the hell beings, "Have you seen this baby?" Okay, helplessly turning around in his own filth. And then the hell beings say, "Yeah." Then King Yama say, "Have you never thought?" Okay, now this is the lesson. Has it not occurred to you, you are intelligent enough, mature enough, I too am subject to birth. I am not free from birth. Surely I had better do good through body, speech and mind. This is the lesson. Okay. Then the man says, the hell being says, "I was unable to, Bhante. I was negligent." All right. So this is a typical scenario, if you like. The hell being pleads ignorance. So I don't know. This is very good material for a movie, right? And I've seen some of this movie when I was a kid. My mother used to bring me there, watch all this interesting show. All right, then there is what's called a cycle, a refrain. This repeats itself every time, so we'll read the first time here, 4.4. Then bhikshus, King Yama says, "My good man, through negligence you have failed to do good deeds through body, speech and mind. This, my good man, will surely work on you according to that negligence." This bad deed, okay, before I read the next part, which is very important, notice here again, what is King Yama doing? He is like a teacher. He is trying to educate this suffering being. He says, you have never You see this baby helpless. Have you never thought to you that you also will be reborn? You'll be born. We all are born, you know. And so we should do good. Or maybe you say, oh, I can't see the connection, you know. How can the baby do good? You know, how is the fact that I'll be born, I must do good? We don't know yet. No? It's just the beginning. Only the first Devaduta, the first divine messenger, okay? So if you are not sure, it is fair enough, okay? Don't worry, because there are 4 more coming. But the next section is very important. King Yama is speaking like the Buddha. He's teaching the hell beings. Now, in the story here, he's teaching the hell beings, but here we are studying the sutta. So who is he really teaching? You see, this is the way the Buddha is very wise in using teaching methods. So through this character called King Yama, what you actually hear is the Buddha's voice. All right? So King Yama says, this bad deed was not done by your mother or your father, by your brother or your sister, or by your friends and companions, or by your kinsmen and relatives, or by recluses and Brahmins, or by the gods. This bad deed was done by you yourself, and you yourself will feel its results. Wow, this is a very powerful statement, right? What is King Yama saying? He's saying you are responsible for your own suffering. Not many religions say this. This is what makes Buddhism different from almost all other religions. Other religions tell you, why do you go to hell? Because you disobeyed God. Because some other things, you failed to do. But here, King Yama says, you are at fault because you did bad things, You didn't respect elders. You're not kind to people, right? So this is a lesson to make a good society possible. Ethics, respecting elders. In a sense, very Confucianist. Respecting elders. Respecting those worthy of respect. Respecting good people. So that there is order in society. Okay? Alright, so this one is the first divine messenger. Okay? Any quick questions here about what is said here? Anything you're not sure? Clear enough? Okay, now this is only first lesson, Now second lesson, the second divine messenger. Section 5. Then bhikshus, after pressing and questioning and cross-questioning him about the first divine messenger, King Yama presses and questions and cross-questions him about the second divine messenger. My good man, did you not see the second divine messenger appear amongst humans? And then the man says, I did not, Bhante. Then King Yama says, my good man, further down, my good man, have you never seen amongst humans an old man or old woman? Okay, notice here you got old man, old woman, not just old man, okay? 80, 90 or 100 years old, crooked as a rafter, bent double. A rafter is the top of the, under the roof you have that curve. In India it's curved, the wooden rafters. So the body is bent, crooked, leaning on a stick, trembling as he goes. Of course here, he or she. The wretched youth long gone, with broken teeth, with grey hair, with scanty hair, or bald-headed, with blotches all over the body. Oh, this is A-level's description of an old person. Wonderful literature here, really old person, 80, 90, 100 years old. Then this hell being says, yes, I have, Bhante. And then comes the lesson. King Yama asks, my good man, did it never occur to you, an intelligent and mature man, I too am subject to decay or old age. I am not free from decay. Surely I had better do good through body, speech and mind. Okay, this time it makes more sense, right? You see old man, you also grow old, you should be doing some good. It makes more sense now. But this man says, I was unable to, Bhante. I was negligent. So there you are. So this is the second side. Yeah? He sees a baby, he sees old man. These are two extremes of our life, But he didn't think about it. Notice here the Buddha purposely says that this is a mature, intelligent man. Otherwise they can claim, I'm stupid or mad, and they won't know anything, right? But here we're talking about intelligent, clever man. We all have that level of understanding or wisdom. Yeah, so no, you cannot counter what the Buddha is saying here. Very true. Yeah? All right, and then the refrain starts all over again. It is called the self-effort karma refrain. The Buddha says, my good man, through negligence you have failed to do good deeds through body, speech and mind. This, my good man, will surely work on you according to that negligence. This bad deed was not done by your mother or your father, or by your brother or your sister, by your friend and companions, or by your kinsmen and relatives, or by recluses and Brahmins, or by the gods. This bad deed was done by you yourself, and you yourself will feel its results. You are responsible. Okay? I'm reading this at least twice, so you remember this. Nah? Then King Yama continues talking. He's going to third story now, section 6. And I'm going to read to you what he says right away. You can see the number 181 there. My good man, did you not see the third divine messenger appear amongst humans? And he says, I did not, Bhante. Then, although he said he did not, but he knows there's such a person, right? Then Bhikshu King Yama says, my good man, have you never seen? Now notice this, the man said, I did not. So, but King Yama said, no, you have. Have you never seen? Right? So notice, King Yama actually knocks down this negation. This person said no, but I said, well, you have, but you forget, right? Say, my good man, have you never seen amongst human beings a sick man or a sick woman, afflicted, suffering, and gravely ill, lying foul in their own excrement and urine, lifted up by some and set down by others? And then he said, oh yes, I have, Bhante, right? So now he changed his voice. Oh yeah, I've seen that. Okay. When King Yama said third Devadutta, he doesn't know what it is. But when he described in detail, he said, yeah, I have seen. Then King Yama gives the lesson, says 6.3. Next line. My good man, did it never occur to you, an intelligent and mature man? I too am subject to disease. I am not free from disease. Surely I had better do good through body, speech and mind. And then he says, I was unable to, Bhante. I was negligent. I was careless. Okay? And then King Yama repeats the whole personal responsibility section. He says, this bad deed is not done by anyone. You yourself did it. So you are responsible. You are accountable. You will face the results yourself. And this is the result. You have come before me, you see. Then the fourth divine messenger, section 7. Okay. This time the King Yama says, look at section 7, 3-4 lines below. My good man, did you not see the fourth divine messenger appear amongst humans? When King Yama says fourth divine messenger, the man doesn't know. He says, I don't know what it is. Right? And then King Yama describes it and says, oh yeah, I've seen that. And what is that? Further down, 2-3 lines. My good man, have you never seen amongst humans when a robber, a criminal, the fool, sees kings inflicting various kinds of torture on him, having him whipped, caned, clubbed, his hands cut off, his feet cut off, his limbs cut off, his ears cut off. Okay, there's a long list of torture here. Various parts of the body get cut off and all kinds of terrible, terrible tortures. I don't have to go through them. you more or less know the story. Okay, the king those days would torture the criminal. There's no Geneva Convention, there's no human rights. The king will do what he likes, and the tortures are terrible. Okay, and some of these things you still see. They chop off hands and things like that. Yeah, in those days they even blind people. So can you imagine how horrible it is those days? So the Buddha. So who is the Buddha teaching it? The Buddha is teaching his people in his time. All right. So this sort of thing will work. Right? Now, if today you tell our modern, no monk that I know ever taught this sutta publicly, because they're scared of the reaction from the public. Number one, the public will be shocked, speechless. Number two, the intellectual will protest and say, no, this is not possible. So, unless he's very clever, he knows how to defend, But the point is this kind of story was real in the Buddha's time. The kings actually did all these things. Today, you don't hear all these things because any of those things happen, the people will be in trouble, There are laws against this. So that's why we have to rethink this. These are called cultural aspects of the suttas. This is not really Dhamma aspect. They are cultural aspects, tortures and so on, right? So later I'll tell you how this story, we look at the meaning of the story. Okay, not the cultural definitions, not the cultural details, if you like. For example, another cultural detail, Buddha's time, the Buddha tells Sigala, he says, if you get married, you must also be loyal and kind to your wives. Now, if we are to take it literally, the Buddhists will say, wow, Buddha allowed many wives, so I cannot have many wives. But you can do trouble in Singapore. There's a law called bigamy. You marry more than one wife, you're in serious trouble. So these are things we need to adjust. And these things can be adjusted. The Buddha allows us to kind of interpret it in our times. The Dhamma is on a higher level. This one is a lower level story. So, the king tortures all these criminals, and then King Yama said, have you not seen all this? And then the Helbing said, oh yeah, this I've seen. And then again, King Yama reminds this man, say, well, have you never thought that, if you do bad things, you will suffer, So you should remember, all these bad things you do is not because of anyone else. Right? The reason Buddha says this is because there are some teachers, in Buddha's time, we say, oh, there's no such thing as good or bad, Even today, you find some people think that way. But here, the Buddha is saying, you're responsible for your actions. And then we come to the fifth messenger. Okay? Section 8. Now, 2-3 lines below, King Yama says, my good man, did you not see the fifth messenger appear amongst humans? And then the man says, no, I did not, Bhante. Then King Yama says, my good man, have you never seen amongst humans a dead man or a dead woman? Dead for a day, dead for 2 days, dead for 3 days. Now remember again, those days the bodies are left out there, not everybody can afford coffins. Only the rich perhaps. I mean, we're not told they use coffins, but so the bodies usually wrapped with what they call it, a cloth, So the bodies are kept and they're thrown into the charnel ground in the open. So you can actually see all those dead bodies, 1, 2, 3 days old, bloated up, livid looks ugly, grayish, and oozing with impurities. And then he says, yes, I have Bhante. Right? And then King Yama says, well, did it never occur to you that death will come to you also? And thinking in this way, did it never occur to you that you should do good deeds and not get into trouble? Right? Whatever you do, you are responsible for it. Right? So basically, King Yama is saying, you see, you have done a lot of bad deeds, so here you are standing before me. Now, what is interesting here, the humor here is King Yama actually is complaining, He says, you see, every time you come before me, I got to tell you this. And there's so many of you, one by one. Who is really suffering here? If you imagine poor King Yama has to repeat the same text 1 million times a day.
Boring.
Yeah, you might as well have a machine, you know. I mean, no commentator ever said King Yama was a robot, though. But King Yama, in a sense, is a real being as far as the sutta goes, right? So, and then next section is King Yama. The storyteller goes and says that this King Yama finished talking. Huh? Look at the section 9. What is the title there? King Yama's silence. So after telling this person all the 5 Devadutas, 5 Deva messengers, the King Yama has nothing more to say, just remains silent. We're not told what kind of silence is it. Definitely it is not a happy silence. It's like a silence like, given up. Say, oh, these people never learn. They keep coming, they keep coming. Now the question is this, how does this affect King Yama? Nobody ever asked this question. Huh? And this sutta answers that question. That's why suttas are very interesting. Nobody ever studies sutta carefully. They say, oh, King Yama, and they frighten people, King Yama. But they never really studied what happens to King Yama, meeting hell beings by the millions every day, telling them the same thing over and over again. We're going to find out in a moment, okay? So, King Yama is silent. He didn't say anything. Apparently, the silence also is a cue, So remember, these hell wardens are waiting, So once King Yama falls silent, but in Chinese story, he bangs the table with, I don't know what you call it, something heavy. Yeah, bang, like the judge's hammer, and the poor hell being is in trouble. This, what they call the hell wardens will come and drag him, and then next section you have a series of frightening tortures, okay, similar to what the kings have been doing. Of course, it's not like the kings copied the hell tortures. It's more that the hell torture stories came from the tortures the king used. Okay? All right, so I'm not going to go through all these terrible hells. You more or less know them. Of course, if you are curious, you can read this chapter yourself in the translation. I want to jump to the section about King Yama. What happens to King Yama? Because this is the interesting part. So that's the part we're going to have an intermission, a commercial break. Okay. So it's just nice time now. We have a break, and then we come back and finish off the nicest part of the story. Okay? All right, section 28. Section 28. So, what role does King Yama play? It's very clear now, right? It's like a teacher. So here you see in early Buddhism, we can learn the Dharma even in hell, any level, So hell is not there to punish us, so to speak. So let me just quickly say, what is hell then? Is it really a place? Well, the good news is it's not a place. Because if it's a place, then you have a problem. You know how many people who do bad deeds, they go to hell. There'll be no place in the universe enough, right? And then secondly, you notice all these hell beings are suffering. They're being punished over and over again, and they don't seem to die. That means it's not a bodily suffering, it's a mental suffering.
Can they feel the pain?
Of course we do. Real pain, just as worse than what you feel with the body. Okay? Imagine all the things you fear most. Some people may say, I'm not afraid to die by the sword because they're warriors. But there are other things they are afraid. So the things that you fear will come to you. That's called hell. So in other words, hell is a mental state. Wherever you are, that's hell. If you do bad things, God, it can just come to you. Another sutta says it's like someone living beside a mountain, and when the sun sets, the shadow of the mountain covers his man, very dark, right? So hell is not a place you go to. Because if it's a place, you can free yourself from that place. It is inside you, it's your mind. You become that kind of character. If you go around, even in Singapore, so many people, you can see some people, we say, even in Chinese, you got the scolding, you're not human, you know that kind of scolding, right? In Hainanese, nang boti nang, you're human, but you're not really human, I mean, it reflects very deep Dhamma teaching, In other words, you have gone down to the subhuman level. Drug addicts are not human. Body human, yes, but mind addict. So it's very difficult to help them. So you have a lot of psychology here, So we're talking about a suffering state that can happen right here, right now. And this is what's frightening, So it's not a place you go to. King Yama doesn't punish you, right? All those stories, Happavilla, they are meant to teach us, not to frighten us, okay? But in a sense, to frighten us into doing good, yeah, maybe. But actually, it's a lesson how you describe pain, suffering, Then there is another lesson, or in literature, it's a subtext, like another lesson. King Yama himself is learning a lesson. King Yama himself is in this world, therefore King Yama is not awakened. Right? So King Yama, what does King Yama learn from all this? Okay, now this is the closing part. No? You look at section 28. Section 28, got it? It occurred, what page? 203. It occurred in the past, bhikshus, now the Buddha is talking, it occurred in the past, bhikshus, that King Yama thought those amongst humans who do bad, unwholesome deeds indeed have all these diverse kinds of tortures inflicted on them. Oh, that I might attain the human state. So King Yama says, if only I can attain the human state. It appears almost as if King Yama himself is a hell warden. We don't know, we're not told. What kind of being is King Yama? Of course, the other most likely state is that he's a kind of special kind of deva, okay? Or even a yaksha, whatever, right? But if you take this as a story, it's no problem. We just King Yama, say, okay, But be careful not to mix this King Yama with the Yamadevas. Okay. Yamadevas are very high up in the, I think, sense world, King Yama. Yamadevas, short A, Yama. Whereas this is King Yama. Okay? Sometimes people mix them up, the two. So, King Yama makes an aspiration. I want to be human. That means he's not human. But we don't know what exactly he is, all right? So this is a very interesting paper for a scholar to write. What kind of being is King Yama? So far I've not seen anyone writing anything. Oh, that I might attain the human state, that a Tathagata thus come, the Buddha, a worthy and fully self-awakened, might appear amongst humans, that I might wait on that blessed one. So his wish is that he will meet a Buddha. So he knows about the Buddha here. And he wants to meet the Buddha, serve the Buddha, that the Blessed One might teach me the Dharma, and that I might come to understand that Blessed One's Dharma. And then the Buddha speaks again, Bhikshus, I tell you that this is not something I've heard from another recluse or Brahmin. I tell you this as something that I've actually known for myself, seen for myself, discovered for myself. Now this sentence causes a bit of a problem, because if you misinterpret it, you're saying, oh, what the Buddha is saying, this is true. This is really, there are beings, there are places. Now after all these years of doing suttas, I kind of begin to know the Buddha better, so to speak. When he talks like this, he's saying, I'm telling you this from my personal experience. So it depends. Are you wise or not wise? If you only read the word of the sutta, you say, wow, the Buddha is saying he knows this directly for himself. That means it really happened, But then if you remember, the Buddha talks about two levels of teaching. He says, any teaching that talks about beings, talk about people, there are stories, you must interpret them. Those teachings that talk about suffering, about consciousness, they are on a higher level. Okay? So there's a hint there. Why does the Buddha use this tone of language? Because he wants people to take it seriously. Otherwise, nowadays people say, oh, no such thing as hell. And they think hell doesn't exist. Maybe the kind of hell you see in the Taoist stories, Haw Par Villa doesn't exist, maybe. But hell is real in terms of our mind, our sufferings. It's real. When people are really terrified of their bad deeds. Okay? Those who have done bad deeds, they feel terrible. Okay? So King Yama, there is hope for King Yama also. So he wants to meet the Buddha. He doesn't want to play the Yama role. King Yama is a role, Mara is a role. Mara also can change. Everyone can change in Buddhism. That's the good news. So don't say that people can't change, nah? Yeah. The Mara can change, Yama can change, Angulimala also can change. All right? So there's hope. Of course, it may take a long time, but it's still possible. So the Buddha says, Bhikshus, I tell you this not as something I've heard from another recluse or Brahmin, so not from other people, but he knows it for himself. No? I tell you this as something that I've actually known for myself, seen for myself, discovered for myself. So the Buddha himself understands what's going on and is telling all this in a story form. All right? And then the whole sutta closes with some verses. The Blessed One said this. Having said this, the Sugata, the welfarer, the teacher, added. Okay, this is a bit like the Udana style of teaching. First the Buddha said something short and then finish off with a verse. The Buddha says, though warned by the divine messengers, human beings are still negligent. Long do they grieve as men fallen into lowly crowds. Notice here, the Buddha used the word crowds. Because hell is signified by crowds. Very crowded, very uncomfortable. Imagine you're in the crowd, very hard to move, And then you follow the crowd. You cannot go anywhere you like, you got to follow the crowd. Very dangerous, right? So, when the Buddha renounced the world, he left the crowd. He's alone under the Bodhi tree, sitting all alone. So, and the heavens are said to be spacious, very spacious, a lot of space. Hell, very cramped. All right. When warned by the divine messengers, the good people at peace here are not heedless, but practice well the noble Dharma. Right. So here the Buddha is summarizing the whole story. He says the good people listen, they see all this, they understand. Okay? Seeing danger in clinging for the birth and death it brings, by not clinging, they are freed through the end of birth and death. That is nirvana. They dwell happily, having attained the secure. The secure means nirvana. No? Perfectly cool here and now. Okay, cool here meaning all the fires of greed, hatred, delusion put out already. No more greed, hatred, delusion. Beyond all hate and fear, having overcome all pain, like body pain, mental pain. Okay, all gone. Okay. So this kind of being, this kind of person is happy, right? So the sutta ends there quite happily. All right. So any questions about this? Is it clear enough, all these stories? No? The significance of King Yama?
King Yama, at the end of it, it's a sort of a reflection, representing a reflection of the hell being who neglected on the 5 messengers and sort of regret that. And he says that, oh, I shouldn't have done this, now I'm stuck here. I wish I had not done it. I wish I had a human body.
Well, nowadays you see movies, right? A good movie will show you how the hero suffers at first, losses, and in the end, he gains back what he has lost, he's happy, right? The good triumph in the end. See? So it's like a story we see. Our own, we see all these 5 messengers in the world, and then we don't see the meaning of it. In other words, when you look into something, ask yourself, what does this mean? Right? You see someone has a child, a baby, right? Yeah, everyone's happy, you know, but there are other meanings attached to a baby being born. Right? You got to take care of this baby. He's going to be a teenager, and you know that's going to be very difficult, right? Things like that, you know. So you have to raise this child, and what kind of person is he going to be? Like, so all these things, right? We have to think about. So we have to create a good environment for him. And then you see someone passing away, your dear friend, very happy, and suddenly he's gone, you know. And then what does this mean? You got to think about all this. So this is what the story reminds us. When we live through life, we've got to ask ourselves, what does it all mean? All my experiences? Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the good thing? How will people remember me? Right? You know, very often, not to frighten you, I'll use myself. Like after I'm dead, people will come and say a lot of nice things, you know. But when I'm alive, they won't even come and see me. Right? After I'm dead, everybody says, "Oh, I know him." Right? And that's when I wish I could sit out in my coffin and say, "Are you sure?" So sometimes we don't realize how hypocritical we can be. You know, we're just happy this person we don't like is dead. You know. So the point is, while we are alive, we've got to ask ourselves all these questions. And while we are alive, you want to say nice things to your friend, you better say it right away. Don't wait until it's too late, you know? And then you go to the coffin and say, and nobody hears you. I mean, this person can't hear you, you know. So, if you want to write a eulogy, write it while the person is alive, and tell this person, "May I read my eulogy to you?" Wow, that is really a privilege, you know, to hear someone reading his eulogy to you, because you imagine the person is dead and say, "Oh, I miss you. These are the good things I want to tell you." Right? So these are those things. Sometimes you hear wise people saying, if you want to write a eulogy, do it while the person is still alive. Tell the person all the good things you want to tell this person before he's dead. Okay. So here you have a very positive note here, you know, talking about, you know, we are responsible for our acts. We can prevent going to suffering states. Even King Yama himself wants to change. He doesn't like the hell state. He's not someone who enjoys punishing people or enjoys seeing people suffering. In fact, he's regretting. And I say, why can't these people learn, you know? So he wants to meet the Buddha, and he himself wants to awaken and be free from suffering himself. King Yama himself is suffering. Okay. Anything else?
I was wondering whether this Yama thing is only related to the human realms or pretas. How about the animals?
You mean whether animals? Well, all these are stages, go up and down. You see, they are mental states. You see, King Yama only deals with the hell beings. Yeah. So in the story, he only deals with the hell beings, not with the animals or other realms.
I'm just wondering because I thought when you did something very wrong, you could end up in the animal realm.
Yeah, but then animals can't understand. You know. They don't really understand human language. Not all of them. Maybe elephants are intelligent, yeah. But so, in a sense, the hint is that even you go to the lowest hells, there's still hope if you're willing to learn. But in the other realms, it's a bit difficult because animals don't understand. You see. So that's another way of looking at it. Yeah. Devas also difficult because Devas are enjoying life, you know, so they won't be able to see all these teachings either, you know. Anything else? No more, finish. Yes?
People who study Dharma, everything, but end up in heaven. I'm sure you continue to practice,
yes.
Right? You cannot just forget.
Yes, true, that's true, yeah. You see, there's something interesting here, you know. If you do good deeds alone, that means you also do bad deeds, because we never just do one thing, you see. So you go to heaven, you enjoy all your good deeds, like you go for a long holiday, spend the money but not making new money. Then the money is gone. Then snake and ladders, you know, then you fall straight to hell. Snake and ladders is a Buddhist game, you know.
What I mean is, you're always with Dharma.
Yeah.
you can't forget the Dharma the moment the person is dead, right? So I'm sure the state of mind is still with Dharma.
It's not.
End up in heaven.
It's not as simple as that. We cannot say a person always remembers Dharma. We can forget, or we may not think about it.
Too happy.
It can be too happy. It can be too sad. It's just that we may not remember. For example, I don't always remember the suttas. If I go somewhere, maybe I just talk to my friends, and then the person asks me something, I say, oh yeah, then I remember. So it's not all the time, we think of the Dhamma. It's possible, but you must make the effort, okay? Anyway, so we do both good and bad. So if you go to heaven, yeah, you enjoy heaven, but once your good karma all gone, then zap you. The word is always fall. We never say die, we say fall from heaven, okay? And they are reborn in the, even can go down to hell. So the snake and ladder game showed this kind of mobility, of being. The question now is how to be safe. That is why I've discovered this teaching in chapter 25 of the Samyutta Nikaya, where you are guaranteed not to fall below the human state, the unhappy human state, not to fall into the unhappy human state and lower. By aspiring to stream winning, you must attain at least stream winning in order to remain above the suffering states, above the asuras and the animals, pretas and hell beings. They always say, how do I learn this? You see, that's my point, all right? If you don't know, you say, wow, okay, I want to learn this, right? Attitude, very important, And this is what makes us better than others or worse than others, okay? But it's not really about better or worse, it's about do you want to grow or not, okay? Nothing is difficult. You just put your mind to it, over time, you will learn. It took me 50 years. I'm not saying it's easy, all right? Many of these things only recently I begin to understand more deeply. So take your time, but never say cheap, never say I can't do it, okay? So, okay, number one, let go of, don't identify with the pain. Don't own the pain. Because I didn't finish talking just now. Nah? If something bad happened to you, don't say, oh, it only happened to me. Like that. Understand that other people also suffer. You see the point here? We don't say, I'm the only one who suffer. Now, people like to say, someone came to me long ago, one of the young students, he said, why only me? Why am I suffering all this? No girlfriend, no job. Then I know him very well, so to save a lot of time, I don't want to spend 1 hour counseling, and I say, why not? Suddenly he looked at me, he got shocked. He said, are you on my side or are you against me? I said, no. I said, I'm not against you. I'm saying you think as if you're the one who's suffering. I said, many other people have problems with girls, they don't get married, and they don't have jobs. So what do? They look for jobs, right? So don't think that you're the only one. Okay? So this is the first simple rule. I'm simplifying it. Don't say that I'm the only one having this problem. Okay, that's the first one. You want to become stream winner. The first idea you get rid of. Number two is you understand that whatever problems arise is the way we think, come from inside us. Do you agree? It comes from inside us, not because of someone else all the time. It's because of how we think. That's why we have problems. Do you agree? Do you understand and agree? Because of how we think. Sorry?
I can't totally agree.
Yeah? You're going to say something? Yeah, okay. No, what I'm saying is it better to understand how the problem happens in yourself or blame someone? This is another way of asking. Which one do you think is better?
Either way also not very good.
No, it's better to understand ourselves. Yeah.
No. Sometimes really the problem is not done by you, not caused by you, or not. But then
okay.
That's in it.
Yeah. No. Okay. Let me rephrase that. It's how we look at the problem. Okay. We can, even the worst thing can happen to us, but we can say, "I will survive this."
Oh yeah.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. This is what the Buddha is trying to say. It's possible. If you look at it this way, you can solve any problem in the world. Look at the Buddha's life. I mean, if he gave up all the suffering, torture, he said, wow, this is bad. There'd be no Buddha, right? Okay, so second one. That's the second one. Don't blame others. You blame others, you can't do much, but you tell yourself, how can I solve this problem better, right? Okay, it's the second idea you must think. You want to be stream winner? Second idea. Third idea, don't doubt this. Don't say I cannot do it. Because if you say you cannot do it, then you cannot do it. You must say, I want to find out how to do this. Isn't it?
What
Okay.
I'm stressing here is that you can do it, but it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough, but possible.
Everything is definitely possible, otherwise the Dharma will be useless.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if you can think that way, these are the three main things which show the character of a stream winner. But before you can get all these things, you must do one important practice. Wait, something important here. Can you listen to me? One very important practice you must do. Reflect on impermanence regularly. That is your practice. Everything impermanent. So, if something bad happens, you say impermanent, it will change. Something good happens, you also say impermanent, it will change. Happiness is the absence of suffering. Suffering is the absence of happiness. They go back and forth like that, right? So nothing is permanent. In other words, I will not be like this forever. Maybe that's what I think, but it's not true. So everything is impermanent. You go on reflecting that way. Refuse to have negative thought. Then the Buddha say, if you do that, in this life you become a stream winner. Now at first I said, wow, this is too easy. I kind of half believe, Then I read the last sentence, then I believe. Last sentence, Buddha says, if you do not get it in this life, you will definitely get it when you are passing away. When you are passing away, not when you are passed away. That means last thought moment. Your last thought moment, you got no control, you see. Your last thought moment depends on what you regularly do. So if you are habitually, you reflect impermanence, then this idea will come back to you. You feel very safe, very happy. Then you become a stream winner. Next life, you're born with a very positive state of mind. You do good naturally. That's the meaning here. So don't say we can't do it. I mean, you go to management courses, they tell you the same thing. You pay thousands of dollars. Here, the Buddha tells you as a duty. All right, so it's a very positive message. All right, on that happy note, we stop here. Next week, we have one more lesson, right? Okay, let us close with a short reflection and dedication of merits. We have spent some time today in peace, seeking wisdom, and as good friends. So this is a meeting of many, many wonderful good karma. It is not possible to simply even do such a meeting. So this is something we rejoice in the Dharma. When we reflect in this way, this is itself very good karma. We started reciting the precepts and we start. That means we have kept all the 5 precepts during these 2 hours. So remember this. When you want to meditate, I have kept the precepts, all the 5 precepts. So this is called reflection or recollection on moral virtue. Then it helps you in your meditation. Reflecting in this way is wonderful good karma. And by the power of the 3 jewels, may we be blessed with courage and wisdom to aspire at least to attain stream winning in this life itself. And by the power of the 3 jewels too, may our family and loved ones and friends, people we connect with, be well and happy. And by the power of the 3 jewels too, may those who are practicing the Dharma properly see the fruits in this life itself. And by the power of the 3 jewels too, may those who are lost and suffering and have difficulty and lost their way, may they too find their way back to the true teaching in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.